This is where books are returned. And just over there is the point where books that have just been taken from the shelves are issued.
You need to produce your student identity card in order to borrow books. The barcode label on the back has your unique student number on it. And this is linked, when read by the computer light pen, to the unique number of the books that you borrow.
You're allowed to take out up to 8 books if you're an undergraduate for 2 weeks, 16 books for a month for postgrads. These numbers include the overnight loan books, which are identified with an orange tape like this on the spine, but exclude books which are closed access. They're kept upstairs in the reserve section on the 2nd floor east. You'll find all the details in the library information leaflets.
Notice that the loan hall has several photocopiers for you to use, a display of useful library information leaflets and booklets for you to take, and a central floor plan of the building. Let's have a quick look around the whole building. Notice the east-west orientation. First east floor is the catalogue hall. First west, the natural science books and periodicals. On the 2nd floor east are language and literature, film books and the reserve collection, plus, as you can see here, a reading room, which has the library's main collection of language dictionaries. 2nd floor west has language and literature periodicals and maths, computing, medicine and technology books and periodicals. 2nd floor centre houses current periodicals and the periodicals office. The whole of the 3rd floor is devoted to the social sciences. On the west side you can see here the law library and the government publications. Let's just concentrate on the government publications for a moment. The arrangement is straightforward when you become familiar with it, but not all government publications are listed in the computer catalogue, and you will certainly need help initially in tracing material from the collection. The plan on this leaflet shows how the government publications are arranged. This is where you can interrogate online information sources in law and related subjects using databases such as Lexis. 3rd floor east has the main social science book and periodical sequences. The 4th level is mainly humanities, and here on the west are philosophy, psychology and theology books and periodicals, with the European Documentation Centre, which has publications from the European communities. And on the east, history, classics, music, history of art books and periodicals.
Confused? Always remember, if in doubt, ask the library staff. They're here to help you. Now watch this. All the books are electronically tagged in an attempt to stop you from trying to liberate them. One of my friends recently had a little tag sewn into his trousers, and he spent half an hour at that gate trying to get out before they worked out what was going on. Fines are also fairly high, so don't forget to take out a second mortgage on both your home and car. Now, I've got to start tracing the books on my reading list, so I can either go into the catalogue hall or use some of the computer terminals that are dotted around the building.
Now let's have a look at the catalogue on a computer terminal. All the library's books are entered into the computer catalogue CATS, so you will have to become familiar with it. It's easy to use once you get the hang of it. You can always consult the information leaflet if you need to. When you look at the menu at the beginning of the catalogue, you'll see it has a large number of options, 13 or more. Most of them are self-explanatory, but should you need it, you can always key in 0 and return for an introduction to the system, or 9 for the help option. This will describe briefly how to use every option on the menu. The best way to experiment is to key in a few examples when you get your reading list. And remember, you can consult CATS on any terminal linked to the University Computer Network.
What about this, Sarah? The Economics of International Integration, 2nd edition, by Peter Robson. The location of the book is in the Library of Congress, class mark made up of letters and numbers towards the bottom of the record. The accession number for each copy of the book is there. You need to write both the class mark and the accession number or numbers on your reading list. If you cannot find a book on the shelves, you can trace it on the file Loans on Pluto. This will tell you whether the book is already out on loan or in the reservations section. Now, if you need to recall a book, you can ask for that by filling in a reservation card at the loans desk downstairs.
Okay, so we've got some numbers and letters giving us a location. But where's the book located? If we come out here to the loan hall, you can see the plan, which gives you a breakdown of each class mark for each wing of the library. Or you can use the library's invaluable leaflet, How to Find Your Way Around the Library. If you look on the back, you can see that our book is located on the 3rd floor east.
Now, if the book you're absolutely desperate for on your reading list isn't listed on the catalogue, don't top yourself straight away. A simple inquiry in here at the inquiry desk may sort it all out. It might be that the book you're looking for is a new book to the library and hasn't yet been listed on the catalogue. Or it might be that the author's name has been misspelt or it's an American spelling. Whatever it is, a simple inquiry here at the inquiries desk could save you a lot of bother. Incidentally, if you have any other problems using the library, this is the best place to come.
Action.
But surely, Kieran, all the books on my reading list are going to be in reserve anyway. So why don't I just skip the author catalogue and go straight to reserve?
Well, Sarah, two problems with that. First of all the books in reserve only go out for 24 hours. And secondly, you can't be sure that the books and the periodical articles that you need will definitely be in reserve. Now, sometimes what happens is that books that are in very heavy demand have got 6, 7, 8 copies on the shelves anyway. So you can go out to the shelves and get the book for 2 weeks instead of going to reserve and getting it for only 24 hours.
I see. But what about if I want to prepare a seminar paper on a specific subject? I haven't got a reading list.
Right.
How do I find out if the library's got any information?
Well, it's back to the good old computer, and you can key in keywords in subject, title, search, and do it that way. But that doesn't always work, you see, because the limitations of the subject search are very narrow. For example, if you've got a book on poetry, right, but it's called Infidelity Shirt or something equally ridiculous, then you've got problems, haven't you? Yeah. So what could happen is that if you find one book about a subject and then you take the class mark of that book and enter it in class mark search, and the computer should hopefully remount a plethora of books on the same subject but by different authors. Now, periodicals are a completely different kettle of fish. You'll find them in here. They're not on the computer. They're in special books around here, and if you want to find out where the special reference books are, you're going to have to ask at the
inquiry desk.
Very good, Sarah.
There's a lot of very useful information in here. For example, the National Library catalogues, CD-ROM, telephone directories, railway timetables, subject and author bibliographies, encyclopedias, dictionaries, reference books. They're all here.
Now, I've located the book that I was looking for, but there's still a periodical I want to find on my reading list, and I'll probably be able to find that upstairs in the reserve section. Now, we've mentioned it so often anyway that it's probably about time that we went up there and had a look at it. And on our way up, me and Sarah can have a look at the periodicals office and the periodical section. Yes, off we go then.
Here we are in the periodicals section, and this is the Goldfish Bowl, a large study area where more often than not students come to pose rather than actually do any work. All the periodicals are entered on the library catalogue. You can access them using the periodicals only option on the library catalogue on the computer. Notice that all the periodicals have PER in front of their class mark.
These cupboards contain current issues of periodicals taken by the library and arranged in alphabetical sequence by title. The library takes over 3,000 different titles. You can get everything in these cupboards from the current edition of Time Out to the current edition of Applied Progresses in Computer Kinetics. There's also a selection of daily European newspapers for your delectation. Obviously, European integration getting the big thumbs up from the Templeman Library. Now, eventually, the big bad Munchkin bookbinders from next door will come out and kidnap the poor little periodicals from their rightful resting places in these cupboards and turn this into this, And then this is then banished to the shelves out there where you can peruse it at your leisure any time. Just there, in there is the periodicals office, and as usual, there's an inquiries desk, and people in there will be able to help you if you have any problems using this section of the library.
This is the infamous reserve section. The reserve section is a closed access collection of the most heavily used books and periodical articles in the library. By loaning out the books for 24 hours at a time, being due back at 10 o'clock every morning, the reserve section allows for efficient circulation of books amongst the 100 or more students on some courses.
Now these are the strip decks, and they list all the books that you can get in the reserve section. It's very simple. You just look up the book you want by author or by title, and you find an accession number on the right hand side, and you take one of these specially designed little slips, you write down your accession number, you take the slip to the counter, and the book is brought back to you. Now the same system applies for these card indexes, which list all the photocopies that you can get in the reserve section. You can get either photocopies of books that are on reading lists, or you can get photocopies of periodical articles. These card indexes are soon to be replaced by computers, so probably these little babies will be in a museum in 30 years' time. Now finally, you can get videos from the reserve section. This is a new service that they're offering. It's better than Blockbuster because it's free, and you can take out all manner and means of videos, and you can either take them out overnight or you can take them to a special room next door and view them there. I'm going to do that. I'm going to take The Quiet Man, which is directed by John Ford, starring John Wayne and Maureen O'Hara, and I'll see you later. Of course, that guy knows how to light a cigarette, doesn't he?
For the last section of our film, we'd like to show you parts of the library that we've missed out, but are crucial in order that you gain an overall view of the library.
At the moment we're in the audiovisual materials room, which is in the southern corner of the 4th floor east. This is the only part of the library where you'll hear music playing, Radio 3, so there's a nice cultural ambient atmosphere in here. The AVM has a large collection of slides and a cassette collection which you can either borrow from or listen to in the library, and a snazzy little machine which can make photocopies of microfilm and microfiche. This is a carol. As you can see, it's been very tastefully decorated. There's quite a number of them scattered around the library, and basically they're just a small room for people to study in. Unfortunately, they're only for the use of postgrads and academics, not for mere mortals like ourselves.
This is the microfilm reading room in the 4th floor centre, where a growing number of books, and more notably periodical articles, are transferred onto microfilm. We've got the times on record from 1785 up until the present day. The machines are very easy to use, with instructions on the actual machines themselves, and if in any doubt you can always ask at the inquiry desk.
This is the library prison. It's for long-term fine offenders like myself. It's a very strict regime in here, bread and water, and you get beaten regularly. Luckily, it also happens to house one of the special collections, one of the many special collections that the university has. This is part of the cartoon archive, and there's lots of old copies of Private Eye in here, copies of Punch, copies of Judy, but my favourite is this, Les Dawson's autobiography, A Clown Too Far.
A woman who becomes a wife elects a partner for her life. In prudence here, nor future care, nor sad repentance can repair. Her die is thrown, there's no resource but death, or worse than death, divorce. This is the special collection. Here we have rare and older material, as well as special information on the history of 19th century theatre, wind and windmills, and the history of natural sciences. We've also got books from the private collections of David Lloyd George, Bonamy de Bray and John Crow. As you can see, there are some more computer terminals here. They're all linked to the main university network, or ring, and used by computing students and others for a multitude of purposes. All students can use the terminals to get out of the university ring, to consult other university library catalogues, or to trace recent articles and the subjects they're interested in. There are also literally hundreds of databases which we can access, although at a price, to track down books, articles, theses and newspaper reports. You have to remember, this is a relatively small library in academic terms, but it is a starting point for obtaining data and books from around the world.
Online retrieval systems are fairly expensive and are chiefly used by postgrads and staff with access to research funds to pay for the service. But the most important national and international service that can be of use to you is one that has been in existence for many years, interlibrary loans. It's simply a question of taking one of these yellow forms to your supervisor or seminar leader, asking them to sign it, and any article or book that is not in this library can usually be here within a matter of weeks.
I hate to remind you of this, but you are occasionally expected to buy a book out of your own pocket. Dillon's bookshop at the front of the library will have copies of imprint books which will be under great pressure on the shelves and in reserve. As we can see the cathedral from here, I think it would be a nice idea to make a brief visit to the cathedral library. Incidentally, there are a number of other libraries in the area you can use, especially Christ Church College and Kent Institute of Art and Design. You'll find out all about these in the local library's information leaflet. This library is partly run by the university and partly by the cathedral. It houses over 44,000 books, with over 15,000 pre-1801 books. It also houses the Canterbury Cathedral Archives, which contain records and manuscripts dating from 742 of the cathedral, the Diocese of Canterbury, the City of Canterbury and East Kent Parish records. It's certainly a nice place to be, but you'll have to make an appointment to use it. The library runs the University Fax and Telex service. It houses an internationally renowned centre for the study of cartoons and caricature, with over 70,000 cartoon originals, and it holds exhibitions from time to time in the graphics gallery. What it all comes down to is this: use the guides and leaflets, consult your how to find your way around, and ask the staff. Exploit the library and its staff, and everything should be fine. Well, we've been here for so long now, they've decided to offer us a job here, so no doubt you'll see us with our light pens poised to desensitise your books in the next few years.
That's right, Sarah, and next week we'll be taking you on a guided tour of the registry, probably the most interesting place on campus.
So, until then,
See you
bye.
later. Can we do it one more time? And you note down the striptex index accession number on the side of the slip and box.
The last section of our film.